Jodhpur, Jaisalmer and Bikaner are some of the most popular tourist destinations in Rajasthan. Now, the Great Escape has been to Jodhpur and Jaisalmer, so this time we've got Satyadeep Misra to take you deep into the heart of the Thar, to Bikaner.
If you were a boy of 18 and had a tiff with your father, chances are that you'll make up one way or the other. But 5 centuries ago, it was different. After an argument with his father, Rao Bika rode into the desert and established a kingdom that would be the envy of all. The rest is history. The citadel of Bikaner still stands as a reminder of Rao Bika's success in realizing his dreams. It is believed that Rao Bika's devotion to the Karni Mata helped him in no small measure. The temple at which he prayed still stands, and visiting it is a hair-raising experience. These rats, affectionately called Kaaba, are considered to be incarnations of saints and mystics. Karni Mata, an incarnation of Durga, was worshipped as the protector of Rao Bika's kingdom. Here, it is considered sacred for Kaabas to run across your feet and to eat prasad out of a bowl shared by them. Rao Bika's descendants did well for themselves. The Junagadh fort was built by Rai Singh. It's not impressive at first glance, but from the inside, it's an entirely different story.
The fact that the rulers of Bikaner spent most of their early years on the battleground meant that they had very little money left to elaborately decorate their palaces with either marble or precious stones. However, they did find a very unique solution to this problem, as is very evident in the Anup Mahal.
The Anup Mahal was built as a darbar hall for coronation ceremonies. Not an inch of the wall or roof has been spared. The ostentation is overpowering. The Maharajas were a vain lot. One had himself painted by an Italian artist. In fact, the locals refer to this painting as the Indian Mona Lisa. It has the disconcerting habit of staring at you no matter where you stand in the room. As the kingdom of Bikaner grew, the fort did too. Every Maharaja added his very own wing. It will take you hours to give this place a look over.
Namaste.
नमस्ते जी नमस्ते।
कितनी लंबी मूछें हैं आपकी?
28 इंच लंबी है।
बीकानेर में तो सबसे लंबी होंगी।
बिल्कुल, बीकानेर में तो अपना ही नंबर है अभी तो लगा हुआ।
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
One of the various consequences of the alliance between the rulers of Bikaner and the British was the use of Delft tiles. However, for the masons who worked on the palace, there never was a right side up, and consequently, one often chances upon these delightful blue Dutch miniatures placed upside down.
In the Hawa Mahal, high on top of the fort, you'll notice these tiles placed without any imagination. But do notice the bed. A king was once murdered by his concubine, who tied him to his bed and had a warrior jump out from under it and stab him. Well, the lesson wasn't lost. The kings took to sleeping on low beds. border with Pakistan is not far from here. But in the days of yore, this wasn't a concern. The fast advancing Mughals were. They eventually took over most of Rajasthan.
This may not be the ideal landscape for a desert safari. I guess it is a shade too green for that. But what is unique to this area are these quaint little settlements that suddenly spring up on you every couple of miles.
Unfortunately, not much of the desert remains today. An irrigation canal constructed across the breadth of the Thar Desert has turned this arid and desolate land into an oasis. Not everything in Bikaner harks back to a bygone era. The Lalgarh Palace is now partly hotel, partly museum and partly royal residence, and the Kamal Mahal wing is perhaps the most beautiful.
It is probably the most recent of the famous Rajasthani palaces, but is also one of the prettiest. The Lakshmi Niwas Palace was built by the late Maharaja Ganga Singh a mere 90 years ago and has caught the fancy of visitors ever since. In fact, it is supposed to have been one of Lord Mountbatten's favourite post-independence getaways and in more recent times has served as a location for various Bollywood blockbusters.
Maharaja Ganga Singh wasn't just a builder of beautiful palaces. He's perhaps the most formidable ruler Bikaner ever saw. To him goes the credit of modernizing the town. He even had the honor of hanging about George V while the English monarch signed the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. Desert folk once moved around on camel caravans. Today, most of them have taken to wheels. Camels can be easily hired, and they can be a uniquely moving and a very sore experience. Time, in a way, stands still here in the desert. Old age values predominate. Even today, a complete stranger is welcome. You can be sure you'll be treated to a simple yet spicy Rajasthani meal.
यहाँ खरगोश मारना अलाउड नहीं है। कहते ना वो खरगोश मारना अलाउड नहीं है यहाँ पे।
Rajasthan is perhaps the only Indian state with a strong Jain influence, and even though the rulers of Bikaner were Hindu, they patronized other religions. This Jain temple, for instance, is dedicated to the 23rd Tirthankar, Parsnathji. It's a touch unusual from the inside.
It is believed that the foundation of this 532-year-old temple was built using pure ghee instead of water. And consequently, even now on a hot sunny day, you find ghee oozing out of the various nooks and crannies on the temple floor.
When the prodigal Rao Bika left home 5 centuries ago, could he have guessed that with centuries, a city named after him would have endured the tribulations of history? I don't think so. After all, not everyone is fortunate in bridging the gap between thinking and becoming.
देखिए प्रभु ने क्या देना